All right, I believe we are live. Let me just do the diligence here and double check. We are. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope Savara here with a daily dose of hope on Chrome and Steel Radio. You know what you're doing here this morning. You are looking for a little inspiration, a little hope, a little something to start your day, to keep you rolling strong. Hello, I'm very happy to be here this morning. You know what to do. Drop it in the comment section. Let me know where you're tuning in from, where you're rolling into, where you're rolling out of if you're at home, where home is, because we want to know. And you never know. You never know. You might be heading right into someone else's neck of the woods, or you might be right next to someone right on the highway and you don't even know it. So drop it in the comment section. Let us know. Today's show is going to be a great one. I'm super excited. Periodically, I have guests. Usually I have guests when I really feel like they're worth being guests. And so if you listen to any number of podcasts, people usually try to get anybody and anybody on their podcast. But today on my radio show, I met this gentleman at a business event, a speaking event, and he just really struck me. He struck me for a number of reasons. Some of you know that my brother-in-law is in the military, and he has been for, oh gosh, what is he? He's 30, so he was in ROTC, so probably 15 plus years. My other brother-in-law is retired Air Force for 20 years. And my father was in the Army. And so a lot of people in the military. And I know many of you have served as well on a multitude of levels. And there's a lot that comes with that. There's a lot that comes with serving our country, not only pride for our country, but there's a lot of other stuff that comes with that. And I have someone very special here, and I'm super excited because he's going to kind of blow the lid off of what you might be going through, and also talk a little bit more about the stuff that no one else wants to talk about, because you and I both know that mental health is just as important as physical health. I've talked about this before, and you're not alone. And I think it sometimes can feel isolating when you're out on the road for weeks on end. And even though you see people periodically, you're not always connecting with them. You're not sharing all of your story. And so hopefully this morning is a little bit of inspiration, a little dose of hope, and maybe a little bit of relief and direction in what you can do to continue to help yourself, mind, body, and spirit. All right, Rafi. Hey, look who's in the house. Hold on. You are muted still. Let's see if we can unmute you. Unmute. There we go.
Oh, there we go. There we go. I'm technically challenged sometimes, Hope. I tell you what, it's one of those things when you start this venture, there are a lot more times that you want to stop and just end it, put it in the closet and say, I'll get to it later. And my life has been nothing but crazy and upside down. We bought a house, we're selling a house, we're trying to move 16 years in a place. And you're like, how do I acquire so much stuff? I got stuff everywhere. And this thing just keeps getting worse and worse. Like this thing was supposed to happen like, oh, we're going to be in June, and then in July we'll move in and then we'll be done. No, it's like the end of October, about to be November. And at the new house, there was just a lot of echo. And I just said, oh my gosh. So I'm back at my old house and I have to tell the real estate agent, this place is off limits until noon.
I'm not selling my house now. Change of plans. I'm using it again. But all right. So I want you to introduce yourself. Tell people who you are. And then let's get into it today.
Fantastic. Thank you, Hope, for having me on the show. It is a daily dose of hope, and it is a tremendous honor and pleasure that I'm here with you and your guests. Thank you for considering me for this show. My name is Rafael Jauregui. Everybody just knows me as Raf. The first three letters of Rafael. And basically, I served for 20 years. I'm a vet. Just kind of real simple is that I did it right. And no one told me that when I got out of service that I was going to have such a difficult time in transition. I wasn't going to be that guy. I had a 5-year plan and I did it right. So when I say that I did it right is that I had an exit strategy that focused on getting a job and making it over that hump. Well, the thing that people didn't tell me, or I just didn't understand, if people were trying to tell me, was that this word transition, I used to say that it's like the word Mufasa in The Lion King. Remember when the hyenas were in the cave and they said, never say that word, and they'd say Mufasa, and then they'd say, woo, say it again, right? This word transition is like that word, where in the military, we hear it pre-separation, pre-exit, and then we hear it post-exit. And it's just this thing in our lives. And I got into this really, really deep depression 9 months after I got out. But let me tell you, Hope, I was the guy that had it right. I had the right job. I made the salary. I made the position, the business card, the desk, the view. I mean, I nailed it per
the military checked their box.
That's right.
That you're going to be fine.
That's like, right. This guy is good to go. There you go. And we have a lot of folks that don't even make it to that, but I worked on it for 5 years. And I said, yes, I'm there. Well, what no one was going to tell me was that the next 9 months, I was going to show evidence that not everything was okay. That things that were supposed to be in check were not in check. And then that's the start of this idea called served. And that actually started when I live here in the DC area. I live in Maryland, and I was commuting. I was complaining about my 10-minute commute, and the Lord blessed me with a 45-minute commute with an awesome job. So, hey, one of those things. And so while I'm in traffic, I just couldn't figure out why I just felt like this vein here, even talking about it, like I go back, this vein just started to pop in, like just this pulsing. And I could not figure it out for the first couple weeks, months, because I had been a service member that had seen Afghanistan and Iraq. I had seen the basics of military life when there was really no war, but all these variables, and we train for all these things. So I'm in my car in traffic. Why is this happening to me? And that's the journey of served. I started playing around with this word service, and I thought, am I no longer in service? Did I get put out to pasture and I volunteered to get out? What is this? What's this word serve, service, serving? Did I serve? Do I continue to serve? Have I served? Am I no longer serving? And that cycle of thinking took my mind for hours and hours and hours on end. And then one day, we're not supposed to text and drive. So I did it old school. I pulled out a pen and pad right there and stuck in traffic, like literally, inching our way along traffic. And I just wrote the word served, SERVED. And then I just started playing around with it. And one of those things that a car literally cut me off. Like they needed to get 2 seconds ahead of me because we were in a parking lot. So I don't know. But this car
apparently that other space was way more valuable.
And I believe our trucker community here can appreciate that, right? Because they see it day in and day out. I almost know that they're shaking their head and saying, "Oh yeah, I know that move." So, anyways, they get in front of me, and they had one of these Outer Banks stickers here in the Outer Banks, North Carolina. It's a beach town. And there's this, they have this sticker that looks like a European country sticker from back in the day, and it's OBX, and OBX represents Outer Banks. So I'm sure that places around the nation have the same thing, different destination spots, that kind of thing. Usually resorts, that kind of thing have this thing. And so then I thought, oh, that's really cool. Maybe I can create a little sticker that has the word served on it. And then I just started playing around with the words, the letters, and I came up with SRVD, which is the word served. And then that's kind of where it started. And I was going to buy a bunch of cool ball caps, right? It was going to be ball caps. It was going to be stickers. It was going to be, I had this really cool 50 cal bullet that is a bottle opener. It was going to be this.
Would want that. I don't drink, but they would want that.
Oh yeah. This is good at any bar, And so, anyways, or any Second Amendment type person would really appreciate that. How about that?
There you go. There's a lot of you out there. Bill Weaver, where are you?
So that's where I was going with, right? Oh, I got this really great idea, and I'm just going to produce products. Well, that was summer of 2015, Hope. And 9 months, I retired on January of 2015. And this feeling of being the Department of Defense's #1 priority on December the 31st of 2014, and then feeling on January 1st, 2015, I was at the bottom of the list. Well, I got my job. I don't need it. I'm done. I'm moving forward. I got served cooking 6 months later. Hey, this thing is a really great idea. Boom. I hit that brick wall 9 months after I retired. September, October 2015 was rough. So much so that I literally came home and I told my wife I can't do it anymore. And I walked upstairs. And it was so surreal. It was so bizarre, Hope. I can't even describe it. And my wife just kind of was confused. And she says, "What do you mean?" And I just said, "I'll just be upstairs. We got money in the savings. We got credit cards. I guess we'll figure it out." And my plan ended right there. Like, what do you do next? I don't know. Well, I didn't care. And I gave up all hope for, no pun intended there, but, just for being very transparent and forthright. I just kind of said, I don't know what to do. And this idea of served had already taken conception, but not really matured in any capacity. And I printed out the logo that I created over the summer. We worked on the logo for 8 weeks. And in working with the logo, I worked with the graphic artist that didn't know much about the military, and that was on purpose, because originally I was trying to find graphic artists that knew about the military, and I was getting the same standard military type, genre type stuff.
Sure.
And I said,
it looked military.
Yes. And I said, listen, I'm looking for something totally different. And that 8 weeks, I had to really deep dive, and it was like journaling. Like, I was telling this guy why the color red was important in the logo served, why this had to be like this. And we worked through about 8 weeks, maybe 125 iterations. And so the logo, this is the logo right here on my dirty ball cap. But it's my trucker cap, so it fits. But this is the monochrome version, and I had that printed out on just my inkjet printer, and it just was literally just sitting taped up to my closet. So I'm in this funk, and it's taped up on the closet. And I tell myself one day that I got the energy to crack open my eyeballs. And I'm like in this funk where I'm like, listen, I at least got to take a shower, but I'm not hungry. And it was just this situation that I just could not explain. And I read about it in the past. Now that I think back, hindsight 2020, I was trained for it, to observe it in my other people, my troops, my folks around me.
Your peers. Yeah.
My peers, I was always watching out for them. But this is so insidious, Hope. It creeps into your life and you don't even know that it's absorbed you. Well, I looked at it and this logo inspired me. And I took a third person approach here, and I literally told myself, get up, Sergeant, get up, hit the showers and engage. And then so from that point on, I knew that served was not going to be this brand that was just t-shirts, ball caps, and stickers. And I set on a journey for 4.5 years. I'm in my 5th year of trying to figure out, what is this thing called served? What's its purpose? And so I started a podcast 2 years ago, actually 1.5 years ago, and I have a whole 9 episodes. I'm really successful. I got a whole 9 episodes.
Hey, that's all right. That's
all
right.
Yeah, I launched it, and then I paused because I am still trying to figure out. Well, no, I actually figured out. I'm not trying to figure it out. I figured out what served is. And I created this concept called the Leaving to Living framework. And that's where you and I met, where you were helping me capture this. And so it's a true honor to have been coached by you, to have been guided. And now here I am on your stage sharing this message. So Hope, thank you. I mean, this is tremendous, a win, a major win for me.
Yeah, no. Well, okay. So for those of you that are listening and watching the replay, Raf is one of those kind of people. And many of you I've met already before that are listening, I know, where he just strikes you, where it's like, there's no facade, there's no like trying to be someone else. Like, and I just really connected with you. Obviously I have family members in service, and I'm proud to be an American, and I'm proud that they served, and they're very passionate about serving. But it struck me because you were talking about when we had met those 2 days, the first 2 days, and you were talking about this, like, I didn't see it coming. Like I didn't see it coming, and I signed up for this thing that was supposed to get me on track and change my life, and I want to serve my country, and I want to do this thing. And many of you listening have also been in that position, and some of you are actually thinking the same things even if you didn't serve. There's this feeling of like, what do I do now? Like, right. And I wrote something down, and I want you to kind of take me there a little bit, because I think for some people life feels like that. One day, December 31st, 2014, you're on the top of the list. You're the in guy, and at a snap of your fingers, January 1st, 2015, all of a sudden you're the out guy. Rafu, right. and that is incredibly traumatic. And
it is, yes.
I think that I appreciate you, one, because you're a male talking about this, and two, again, the service thing, but it can be really uncomfortable, and some people don't want to talk about it, or they feel like it's still a sign of weakness, which is like, come on, get out of the 1980s, please. Like, right. Like it's not like that. Where I want you to take us a little bit into like what was going through your head, and like what that process was like that feeling of being kicked to the curb overnight and going from hero to zero. People always talk about zero to hero. You did the opposite. Like,
yes.
What was going through your head, and what were those feelings, and how did you like pick yourself up after that day? Because I know you weren't in that depression yet. Like, what happened? Take me there.
Right. So my retirement ceremony happened in October. So you're very right. I am the center of attention. I have this ceremony. You're like, yes, I'm finally going to grow out my beard. I'm finally going to grow out my hair. I am making it. I'm going to crush it when I get out there. Yeah, here we go, right? So there you are on the top of the world, and you don't even think, and I volunteered to retire. I submitted the paperwork. The Air Force says, hey, would you like to stay more? And I said, nah, thanks. Got the t-shirt. I'm done, right? And I actually, believe it or not, I actually never did buy a t-shirt from the Air Force other than my uniform items, which is very ironic on why I wanted to create a t-shirt company. So that's just very bizarre. But let's go back on this spot that you were talking to me about, or asking me about. Is so here I am, the top of the world, and did amazing things, amazing career, and you get out and you're just like, cool, I'm done. Now I start my job. Yeah. And you're moving along, and that's actually the start of it. If we want to actually get to the mustard seed of it, Hope, was that I started longing for a t-shirt that identified me as someone that had served.
Okay,
because
time out. Yeah. I want to dive into that really quick here. So I have a quick question for you, because I don't want you to lose that emotion.
Yeah.
You wanted the t-shirt to give you that feeling, an identity of who you are. How many of you listening, it's like tried and true, you are a trucker all the way through. Tried and true, like, this is who I am, and you know who you are, you can see it, but you need something to identify that as a reminder. Like, take me into that thought process, because that is like, I can't even explain it. I get it. The whole idea of like, I just want something to say, people say, I don't give a shit, or they have Jesus loves me, or whatever it is on their t-shirt, to like say, this is my opinion on life.
Yes. This is who I am. I wore this uniform for 20 years, and without me saying a word, wherever I was around the world, I was identified in 10 seconds or less. What was my service component? What my rank was, what my job was, and who I represented. 10 seconds or less. You get out on December the 31st, and you're no longer authorized to wear that. So I'm walking places, and I literally get thrust into the sea of life, right? Like boom, there I am. I lived in life, but now I'm in this world. And I used to say, before I met you in coaching and then other folks, I used to say I did not civilian well. Now I say I'm learning to civilian well. See, because we were flipping that to say, hey, listen, just because I didn't really understand it back then, and that transition was just a financial transition at that point. And we talk about mental health. Well, I'm gonna level it up, Hope, and I'm gonna say it's not just mental health, physical health, emotional health, or even spiritual health. We're gonna say it's mental hygiene, spiritual hygiene, emotional hygiene, and physical hygiene. So let's start with physical hygiene first, right? Something very simple that we do day in and day out. We brush our teeth, right? Our teeth are there. And if we don't do dental health means you go to the dentist and he tells you, you got a cavity, you got a root canal, right? You got a floss. That's dental health, right? Awareness, knowledge.
Flossing.
That's right. I suck at flossing, but here we are. I still got my pearly whites. So, but it's one of those things, right? You know that there's dental health. That's physical health, right? But then there's dental hygiene. That's the action of brushing your teeth, flossing, rinsing, and daily caring of your pearly whites. Well, we do the same thing with mental hygiene. At this point, I'm in a world that is literally flipping upside down because my identity, my uniform, what I was leaning on, the hats that your guys wear, the truckers, the belt buckle, the rig, right? If they're a Peterbilt guy versus a Mack truck guy, right? I mean, you wrap the human natures to associate with who you like kind, right? We're pack animals at that point. And
now, who am I without my truck? I know many of our
right.
drivers that are listening identify that with, like, if I'm not driving, who am I?
What am I?
Robert,
yes, exactly right it. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going with this.
Who am I without this? I went through that when I closed my yoga studio. Yes. I wanted to. It was my choice. I didn't want that life anymore. And I stepped out of it. And it was like a crisis of like, who am I? I was like paranoid that people wouldn't recognize that I had all this knowledge and that I knew all these things because I wasn't dressed in yoga clothes every single day. That's and going to a yoga studio carrying a yoga mat. Like, it's like a self-identity crisis.
It is a self-identity crisis. And that was that brick wall that I hit 9 months after I retired. And I was noticing signals, life, my body, people around me, the structure, the house of cards that I had built, thinking that that's where I had to invest my time and energy, setting up for this perfect transition, was starting to fall apart. And so in this mental hygiene journey, in this physical hygiene journey, in this spiritual hygiene journey, and in this emotional hygiene journey, I had to set out. And that's been the last 5 years of me working on Served. I have been actively working on these things because it's difficult. It's difficult to say, hey, listen, I'm struggling. It's difficult to say, hey, listen, I have a problem and I'm not thinking right. And so we think that we have it all together. And when we really boil down to it, it's okay if you don't. But this is the most amazing thing. And what I'm basically building with Served is to say, hey, listen, there is a community out here that knows you, that speaks your language, and you don't have to say much. You can grunt at me, and I know exactly what you're saying. But the reason I started the podcast is because not everybody is ready to talk about it or speak about it. So I'm capturing the individuals that are ready to say, hey, listen, I understand exactly what you're talking about. I understand this concept and I want to share it. And what we do is, the idea behind the podcast was that we capture these stories so that people feel that they're not alone. And then the individuals that are not ready to talk about it, like they're doing right now on this show, they listen. Mm-hmm. And in time, they're going to realize that they are not alone. And then the reason that is very interesting, Hope, is that when I switched this idea of it being a brand company. I'm wearing my brand hat. Like I said, I got all the gear. And I just left that to the side and I just went out of the house. That was the first go. When I gave myself that order to get up and get moving, it was not specific in any other way other than get moving. You talk about this, get moving, get out of there. I wasn't even telling myself to go do exercise. I was just like, get out of bed, get that physical hygiene going, the basics, and get moving. That's that physical hygiene thing. Well, I started kind of moping around the house. And then I said, well, I got this thing called Serve. So maybe I'll go to the veteran entrepreneur. There was an entrepreneurial area that they were building veteran-owned businesses and trying to get veterans into entrepreneurship. And the nonprofit organizations are fantastic. And that's what I do. I try to link folks to all these fabulous organizations that I've met along the way. And my idea is that I want all ships to rise as I keep telling the story. Well, I went there and at first I thought that I was getting re-energized and I was back in the game because I was building this thing, this business, this idea called Served. Well, what I had to do is I had to distill where I was generating my joy from, where was my happiness come from, and where was deriving from hope. I was able to distill it. This is the gift that God gave me, that I was able to distill and discern what I was actually deriving joy from. And I was deriving joy from interaction with others that understood without a lot of complicated conversation what I was going through. And what that took was that me humbling myself and me leading by sharing and saying, hey, I'm Raf. I'm creating this thing Served. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know what I'm doing with it. I really don't understand its purpose. But 9 months after I got out of service, I hit a brick wall and my plan went to the side. It went sideways. And I got in a funk. And I tell you what, people leaned in, and as if it was the biggest secret in the world, they would say, me too.
Okay, time out.
No, you got to hear this last part. No, you got to get it. This next part, people would say, oh yeah, the funk. The it. Oh yeah, the crash and burn. And it was this thing that I just was like, hold up, time out. I am talking from E1s to 4-star generals, from 1 day of service to 40 years of service. And I'm getting the, yeah, me too. I was like, what? What do you mean? Hold up, time out. Why is this the first time that I'm hearing this? And ultimately, that's what the vision of Served was, of me doing what I call market research. I was out there talking to vets, talking to everybody, and I just kept getting the same signal. And then you're like, all right, what are you going to do about it? So we'll pause it there. I'll let you answer or ask your question.
Because I have like so many things to say. Okay, so I want to go all the way back. For those of you that are just tuning in, hello, drop it in the comment section where you're tuning in from. I'm here with Raf. Raf is not only an amazing individual, but he served in the Air Force for 20 years. And what was your rank again? I apologize.
I retired as a master sergeant. That's a E7, so enlisted guy. And even that, I applied for a commission and didn't get it. And even that, my mentality was wrapped up in that. But anyways, yeah, so I retired as an E7. And here's a real interesting thing as you continue, is that I actually did not learn to appreciate my stripes until after I got out of service. And we'll tie into that because that ties into this identity crisis, this purpose, and all that. So anyways, I'll let you finish and then we'll go.
Okay, funny that you say that because my brother-in-law, 20 years in the Air Force, he was a mechanic, went to Afghanistan and Iraq 7 times, more than he volunteered extra. Yeah. Like he did 2 back-to-back. He was there for a year and just kept volunteering to go because he's really passionate about his country. That's one reason why I love him. But he said something very similar. It was like, you know, there's so much bureaucracy, there's so much stuff to complain. And then he was out and it was like, he really wears it with pride now, probably even more than when he did before. And I don't mean that as like he wasn't, but like there's such a big part of that. And I think it comes back to the identity thing. And I want to go back to, you were talking about this idea of hygiene. And this idea of mental hygiene, physical hygiene, spiritual hygiene, emotional hygiene. And you really struck me because you had a great like line that you said. And it was like, what is the brick wall? But then where is my happiness coming from? And I think for many of us, I don't care if you're a truck driver, I don't care if you're a school teacher, I don't care if you served in the Marines.
Yeah.
We have to ask ourselves at some point in time, where is my happiness coming from? And I think for some of us, we don't give ourselves permission to even ask that question because we're supposed to just do life. We're supposed to just get the paycheck. We just got to keep rolling. We have too many people, this and that. Like we give all of these reasons why we're not even supposed to care about what makes us happy in life.
That's
and
right.
I know that coming from a background of addiction, a lot, that it's like, that was my whole story in my head. Like my happiness doesn't matter. That's not good enough. And so I want you to give the people listening, you know, more about you in the frame of like, when it came to cultivating that mental hygiene and you hit that brick wall. And I love that you were like, you realized the missing link was like socializing with people, because I feel like my drivers that are listening know better than anyone on the face of this planet what isolation feels like.
That's right.
And what being alone feels like, not just mentally, but physically. Like, you know, and you talked about like your wife was there, but you were not there.
That's
you know,
right.
And so then take that and also look over, and there is nobody there. And
That's
so
right.
walk me through like, what is something that you did, or what is like an aha moment that you had after that moment where you realized that you needed people, like
Right.
you wanted to be with people. Take me there, because I think this is something a lot of people listening can relate to.
You're right. So the biggest thing that I would always say was that I was so connected yet disconnected. I was here. I was on Facebook, emails, telephone numbers. You could throw smoke signals and I was connected, right? But I was just so disconnected. And that was the aha moment when I realized there are people around me and there are people far away from me. And I interact in this world on a daily basis, but I am not connected. Why? Why is this happening? And then the other one that I would say, which ties in directly to that identity crisis, following up this connected yet disconnected, is that veterans or those that have served are everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
Wow.
And so I was in this world roaming around, but we don't have, when we leave the service, the active duty component. Now we're veterans, now we're out there. Some people don't want to talk about their time in service. Some people really want to talk about time in service. And then there's that massive bell curve medium that we're just there. Well, I don't go walking around saying, hey, what's up? I served, nothing like that. Some people do with their t-shirts and that kind of stuff. But then the majority is like, I just kind of want to slip into the background type thing. And that's the dangerous part, right? That's the part where it says, hey, listen, we don't need to walk around with M16 tank t-shirts, but at the same time, we inadvertently already do things that are identifying us. And what I got really good at is picking up on those things. There's this thing called a gig line, Hope. A gig line is basically when the top of your shirt goes all the way down to the crotch of your pants, and it is a line. Your belt is a line. Your crotch area there, the zipper is aligned, and your buttons all the way up are aligned.
Okay,
right?
I'm laughing because my brother-in-law, John, if you're watching, I love you. He's a mechanic now, owns a shop in Boston, Wisconsin. Amazing guy, was a mechanic in the Air Force. He's been out now for, I don't know, a couple years, 2-3 years. And still to this day, Constantly. I
That's
mean,
right. You got your giggle
obsessive
in.
compulsive. Like
Yes.
I've never met a guy that takes longer to get ready in the morning than him.
'Cause he
And
actually
John, I love you.
spot
And we
on.
joke about this already, but
Boom.
it's that he's constantly, and it's like,
Yes.
and his hat has to be in line. I mean, it's, and the only reason I point this out is because he's shared with us that is the residual, the
Yes.
residue of the Air Force.
That's right.
And when he entered, he was lost, and he was like, I think I'm better than, I don't need this. And it, like, the military gave him purpose and direction and structure. But like, those are the things now where it's like, if he doesn't do them, he can't do his day.
That's right. Let me tell you real quick about something else. So that was one example. I'm gonna do this. I never thought I'd ever do this, especially on the live stream, especially going out there to the internet. But I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna take my headset off. I'm gonna take my ball cap off. I'm gonna show you right here. You see this? You see these wings? 5 years to have hair touch the tip of my ears. I'm not joking to you. I did a project for Served in my discovery the last 2 years. The last year, I didn't shave and I didn't get a haircut for 1 year. Talk about breaking another wall. And I've been penning this. This is not out yet. This is all pre-release, sort of what's going to happen here with Served. But I call it breaking through the wall. And what it was is that, if you recall, I said I couldn't wait to grow my beard out and grow my hair out. I was going to have a Fu Manchu, man. I was going to have braids. Like, I was going to have this Fabio locks just flowing, right? I mean, it was just happening.
You're going to be the next
George Clooney,
man.
Yeah. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't make it past this scruff. What you see right now, I purposely shaved. I had another real fall beard growing, but I couldn't go past this scruff because that's the limit that I actually hit. I hit that limit when I would go on leave for about 2 weeks, and I thought I was growing out my beard, and that was it. Well, I got to about 2 weeks, and then it just was really, really bothering me. Like, it just bothered me. And I would shave, and then I'd start again. And it was this cycle, this lunacy, right? This insaneness, this, am I crazy? What's happening? So one of the things I actually start off with Served on one of my first episodes, I basically say, I want to just roll it down real quick, and I'm going to do it right here for your audience, because they're going to relate. Yes, you are crazy. Boom, done. Get over it. Live it. We are crazy to some point in time, because what does that word actually mean? Don't be afraid of that word, because what does it mean? It means if you were in service and you volunteered to be a service member, that means that you volunteered to run into danger when everybody is running out. That's our law enforcement, first responders, firefighters, military, right? We're crazy because we are running in when there is danger. Well, natural tendency will tell you to run away, right? Truck drivers, you're pulling a haul of whatever it is behind you, right? The other day, my son was asking, what type of truck is that? And I said, that is a petroleum truck. And he says, what is it hauling? I said, thousands of gallons of fuel. And he said, kind of like a rocket ship? I said, kind of like a rocket ship, right? I mean, if your guys are hauling timber, whatever it is that they're hauling, they got tonnage behind them, right? That's a little bit crazy to isolate yourself on the road and to go do these things, right? It's okay, but you have to take account for it, because you've earned it. This is what you are doing, and take that accountability into that. And so I wanted to lead you into something real quick, which I call the 3 R's of the Leaving to Living program, the framework, because it's an evolving program, but it's just the framework. And it's the 3 R's real quick, and it's recognizing, reorienting, and restarting. So when I'm in this zone that I'm just like, what is happening? I'm falling apart. The very first thing that I have to do is recognize. That's that accountability I was just telling you about, right? If you're feeling that you are crazy or feeling crazy, people don't want to use the word crazy. Well, guess what? take it in and say, I recognize that I might be acting a little cray-cray right now. A little cray-cray crazy is not the same as crazy, right? I mean, there's all these variables, right? And
a lot of gray area there.
Yeah, there's a lot of gray area. And you know what? You own it, right? You own it, right? The majority of folks know what that limit is. It's kind of like an RPM. Your truck drivers are going to understand this. The world really understands basic RPMs, right? The RPM gauge is from 0 to most vehicles goes to about 9,000, right? That's a huge variance. You're driving down the road. Most people want to stay in that 2,000 to 2,500 range, right? Sometimes cray cups up and you're in the 4,000 or 5,000 range. And then sometimes you're in cray range and you're in the red zone, right? And that's what we need to know is recognize, where are we in this? What is my accountability? What is my recognition of my mental hygiene, my spiritual hygiene? What is my emotional hygiene and what is my physical hygiene, right? So if you think of it as RPM meters, you got 4 meters. And they can be at various places at various times. And it's okay, right? So we recognize, that's the first R. We recognize this. Then we reorient the daily dose of hope. Man, my emotional hygiene meter is hitting almost the top, right? I'm revving high. Well, let me go and reorient myself and attend and socialize. Listen to the Daily Dose of Hope. Listen to Served Radio on served.vet, right? It just listen to these stories. Reorient yourself. I get excited. I start hitting the mic, all kinds of stuff.
That's all right.
And then the last one, you actually said this word recognize earlier. If about 20 minutes ago, you said you recognize that you have an identity crisis, right? So that's that recognize and you reorient. And then the last one, and you actually said it, like you just literally set it up for me, and it's a beautiful thing, Hope. So I thank you so much. And it was not pre-scripted, but she takes copious notes. I'm sure she knew about this. But the last one, the last R, is, I believe, a highly important one. It's called restart. Okay, that's giving yourself permission to restart. So let me lead you through this real quick. Computers, electronics, we have them, daily part of our life. I'm sure everybody's experienced, I used to call it the Windows blue screen of death, but now it just locks up. So back in the old day, the screen would just turn blue.
You walk away for like 3 hours and hope that it would come back.
That would come back, right? Well, let me ask you a question, Hope. Was that machine still running?
Yeah.
Was it powered on?
Yeah.
Was the display working? Yeah, because we could see the blue screen, right?
Yeah.
So for all intents and purposes, that computer was still working. It was still running. But could you use it? Could you send an email? Could you search on an internet web browser or search engine for whatever it is that you need it for? Could you do your spreadsheets? No, you can't. Well, what do you need to do to that computer? You needed to go down there, you needed to hold that button, and you needed to restart it. Because in that restart, it's going to go back to its operational state where you can engage it again. Well, that's what we need to do. We need to do that third R and give ourselves permission to hit that button and restart. And I have to tell you, the last 9 months have been so challenging, Hope, that I hit restart about 50 times a day. And that's the beautiful thing about this is that there is an unlimited number of restarts. Right? We come with this concept or this notion that we can only restart once in your life. I get it. This is my new chance in life.
If we restart, we've failed.
We failed.
If I don't have a consistent 50 good years of my life in a job that whatever, then somehow I have failed myself, my family, everybody.
That is exactly it. You are spot on. And so I like to reference a lot of different things because people have a very diverse lifestyle. But do you remember the game Monopoly?
Oh, Oh God, yeah. My kids, I don't play because my husband's too competitive, but my kids and my husband play. So
Right. So, there's the orange card and there's a yellow card, right? Community chest and chance, right? When you're playing that game in the back of your head that there's a get out of jail free card, one in each stack. You get one, and you're hoping that when you draw and you land on community chest, you got it. Because what do? You hold on to it. You don't cash it in. You hold on to it for that one time or moment when the action is getting so hot and you land in jail and you're like, boom, I'm getting out so I can get back in the game, so I can monopolize the board and win, right? Ultimately, right? Boom, I'm going to slam it down. Well, Monopoly is a game. Life doesn't work like that. And I think we're trained by games and things as we grow up in our forming as young adults, and then into adulthood, and then into as we age in life, that we get one card, and you only get that one card if you draw it. I'm here to proclaim. I'm here to tell you, and everybody that listens to my words right now, wrong. You have the ability to restart unlimited as many times as you need, but you have to go through the recognition that's that accountability. You need to reorient yourself, and then you need to restart. And then guess what? Through all the coaching and through the things that the learning and the growing that I've gone through, there's actually a bonus fourth R. And I actually have not declared it. So I'm declaring it right here on a Daily Dose of Hope for the very first time in public. So you're all getting behind the scenes, the very first thing, the bonus R. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
The fourth R. And then we just call it the bonus R. I didn't want to change the framework because it's the 3 R's. The 3 R's are recognize, reorient, restart, bonus R, rejoice. And that rejoice is to celebrate that restart, that you gave yourself permission. I tell you what, you want to know what the giant hurdle is? The biggest hurdle is giving yourself permission. We are so hard on ourselves. And when you finally give yourself permission to restart, then you need to rejoice. Whether that's calling it out loud, I did it. Whether that's eating an M&M. A buddy of mine actually told me, Raf, what's the most favorite thing that you like to do? And I said, I like eating M&Ms. He said, you know what your bonus R is? I said, what? He says, you pop in an M&M. And I started laughing. I said, ooh, great. So I showed him, I got the big share size. There's like this big pack. And then
it has the zip on the top now?
Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah. So I got that pack. And he starts laughing. He says, brother, I'm telling you, that you rejoice with an M&M, not with a pack of M&Ms. And I said, oh, come on, man. So, but anyways, it could be whatever it is, right? It could be whatever it is. And you were talking, you touched upon addiction. Let me tell you this. We are addicted to things, whether we want to admit it or not. You have to recognize and say, what is it that is leading my life right now? In my analysis, in my RPMs, is it social media? Is it alcohol and everything in between, right? Drugs, alcohol, and all this. So I wanted to lead with something here real quick, is that those folks that are out there serving, and the answer to my original question 5 years ago is, did I serve? Have I served? I'm here to tell folks that you continue to always serve. And the service starts with yourself in your own household. And then it goes to your spouse, if you're married, to your loved ones, to your children, right? That's where you start serving inside of yourself, inside of your household. And when you feel that you've continued to serve, and I'm talking about in service, like being in service to someone as a servant, not just, hey, here the bills are paid. It's like you are in service to your family, to others. Then you go outside and you look at a neighbor across the street. If there's an elderly neighbor, help them out with the trash can. Put it out for them before they even put it out. Right? Be in service.
Drivers, those are listening, truck drivers are probably the gold standard for
Yes.
service to others.
That's right.
And helping others.
That's right.
Drivers that all of you that I know you're watching, you are the epitome of helping others. I feel humbled and challenged whenever I am around the truck driving community, because they are probably the most giving community I've ever seen in my entire life. They are. Like, love charity more than anybody else.
And the thing about it is that being in service doesn't mean that you have to go out to fight a war in Iraq. Mm-hmm. Right. And that was that identity. That was that purpose. That what is my purpose? Going back to that, this being in service is that purpose. So yes, you can drive a Peterbilt. Yes, you can have your favorite brand, Mother Trucker yoga, right? It could be whatever it is, but when you are in service to others, that is your purpose. That is where you root yourself, and that's where you find your center. So if you're growing out your hair, if you're no longer wearing the yoga pants, no longer wearing the uniform, no longer wearing your favorite a ball cap, driving your favorite rig.
You're not in a truck right now for whatever reason. You're not in a truck 7 days a week, 5 days a week, whatever it is. Like, you can still serve. I want to touch on something that you said, and you talked about being addicted to different things, like, and it made me think about how, for so many of us, we're addicted to the narrative. We're addicted to the narrative of, if I'm a truck driver, this is the narrative I'm supposed to live out. Right. If I'm a yoga teacher, this is the narrative I'm supposed to live out. And then we recognize that either one, life doesn't allow us to live that out, or two, we don't really fit that narrative, but we don't know how to get out of it. I mean, I just love the idea of, like, just go back and restart your computer. Like, who said it? I have these third person conversations in my head too all the time. I actually had a mirror conversation when I started recovery, where I looked at myself and I was like, get your shit together, Hope. Like, you can't live this anymore. That's right. And then it happened again when I lost my daughter. It was like the same thing, like, start moving forward. Anyways, this idea of restarting, you had so many awesome little moments here. For those of you that are listening, you can restart today. That's like, right. You can literally say to yourself, you know what? I was dealt a shitty deck of cards, but I want to say this, and I say this with love. We all have been dealt a shitty deck of cards at some point in our life or another. Some of them are living out that shitstorm right now. Some of us are in the beginning. Some of us are in the middle. Some of us nobody here is a special unicorn. Nobody is a special unicorn. And I say that not to be like, oh, I say that because I tell myself that every day. Right. And to remind myself that I can move forward. I can move forward. Like, if I want something to get better, I also have full availability to step forward and utilize the resources in front of me. And I also have full availability, if I don't see the resources that I need, I can reach out and ask. Like you said, right. you started talking with people. You started reaching out and said, hey, are you feeling this too? Like, I want to encourage you guys listening today that you can change the narrative. That's right. It's not about waiting for a solar eclipse to happen and say, or my favorite is January 1st.
January 1st, it's happening.
Then the pandemic shitstorm will be over.
That's right.
Like, newsflash, people, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work. And let me tell you,
it can work today.
Let me tell you, Hope, after all this, my daily challenge, and that's why there's only 9 episodes on served.vet right now, because I needed to learn to put pauses in my life so that I can be serving and my purpose be oriented correctly. So when we start getting into disruptive behaviors, and I just call it disruptive behavior. So I like to say, people that are in service, we're like working dogs. So are you a dog person by chance?
I am.
Okay. So what kind of dog do you have, or do you like?
My dog sadly has passed away, but
I'm sorry.
I was always like a medium-sized dog. We had a bull jack. But then about 20 years ago, I discovered that I have a true love for little miniature dogs. Only because they can sit on my lap. I can't stand the yipping,
Yeah.
but they're just so fun to take everywhere.
Okay, perfect. Perfect lead in. So working dogs, right? If you have a German Shepherd, a Doberman, a Great Dane, a Husky, and you try to take that working dog and you try to make him a lap dog or a house dog, what happens? Your shoes start getting tore up. Your walls start getting eaten up. Your doors start becoming scratch pads of mass proportions, right? You start getting destruction, right? Well, what's happening is you are taking an animal, a working dog, and you're putting them in a situation that is not compatible. So they start creating disruptive behaviors. Well, we're very similar, right? People that are in service, we're working dogs. Whether you're blue collar or white collar, that's not what I'm defining here. I'm saying if you are in service, if you have this love of serving others and don't even realize it, if you open the door for someone every time you go to a Flying J or a pilot, right, you are in service, right? And so stop trying to be the lap dog. Be that working dog, right? So that's that, again, that recognizing part about it. And so what I wanted to share here, because I think we're rounding up the hour, but I wanted to basically share a story that even after 5 years of working on this, of living it, of trying to teach it, of trying to refine it, this literally happened 2.5 weeks ago. And I thought, Lord, why? I'm doing everything right. Like I'm getting my life on track. And so when you just said about the shitstorm, this is going to resonate with folks. And especially, again, it's a vehicle thing. So I'm moving. I'm borrowing my neighbor's truck. I'm borrowing someone else's vehicle. I'm moving the last little bits before we go off on this vacation that we planned in October of last year. And so I'm stressed, the house, work, everything else, right? You're pinging me. Are you going to come on my show? No, I'm just joking.
I was annoying him and I was like, Raph, I need it now.
No. So there I am, right? Life pressures, life stress, life. That's it, life. And I'm coming up the driveway at the new house. I'm running up the driveway. I have a little trailer, little camping trailer, maybe about 800 pounds. So nothing like your big rig guys, but 800 pounds is still 800 pounds of inertia and weight behind you. And I'm running up the top of the driveway. And just like a seesaw, I went over the top of the driveway of the asphalt. I didn't know that that point existed. Now I know that it exists there. But at that point, because it's a new house, didn't know. And so I round the top of it where it had been raining the day prior and that day as well. And I went just a little bit too much past the asphalt of the driveway and I actually stepped into the grass. And basically the car, the truck and the trailer literally went to the top of the driveway. The front of it was about half of the truck was on the grass. Well, there's this thing called inertia and weight. And it literally, the trailer, when it came to a stop, pushed the truck. It just gave it a little bump. That was it, just a little bump. Well, that was enough for the seesaw to start going the other way. And so one of the things that I wanted to wrap the show up with was this idea of being in control. So the scenario is big truck, it's running, it's in gear, I have the brake on. That weight behind me, as small as it was, 800 pounds, had enough inertia to push me over that edge. Now I am sliding in a mudslide type scenario down the embankment of this new house. And I'm thinking, because all this is happening real time. And I'm thinking, all right, truck is in drive. Do I drop it in reverse? I might drop the transmission, just keep pumping the brakes. And then about 2 seconds into it, I said, you know what? Plan B, executing plan B. I'm going to let off the brake and I'm going to gently glide it to that side of the yard over there. That's what I'm going to do because I'm in this and I now feel the energy of this thing tipping over and we're going to go. Well, just like in a roller coaster, you know, when you sit on the front seat of a roller coaster and you go up this climb, clack, 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 all the way to the top. And then you just kind of hang and then you see over the edge and you're like, oh, there I go, there I go. But then you kind of actually go over the edge. You kind of actually go over the edge and you kind of like are hanging there. Well, you're hanging there because that last cart hasn't reached that same point that you originally felt when you were at the tip, right? Well, when that last cart rounds that drop, you start dropping. That inertia from the back of that cart starts pushing you down. Well, 3 seconds into this ordeal, that back 800 pounds of that little trailer, as small as it was, now I had 800 pounds pushing me down this mudslide. And so at this point, I quickly realized 4 seconds into this, all right, I gave you the 1 second, 2 second, 3 second. Now 4 seconds into this, I realized I'm not going to make it over there. I'm not going to make it to that safe landing spot over there. Oh man, what's happening? I went for a ride. I took my neighbor's truck, property that doesn't belong to me, my trailer, into the woods. It was a 3 second slide. Like I literally slid, and those trees were far away. They quickly got medium sized and they quickly got big. And so the reason I tell this story is because I had to recognize, reorient, and restart. And now I'm rejoicing and saying that story is going to make me one day $50,000 so I can pay my neighbor back for that truck, so I can buy them a brand new truck. But as of right now, it's the shitstorm that I have to deal with right now. I had to tell my neighbor, I done destroyed your truck. This was right before I went on vacation. I had to get a winch, 150-foot winch to pull me out. I went down this embankment. And I tell you what, when I reached the bottom of that, I literally sat in the car and I almost started crying. I said, God, why? Why? Like, why am I in this situation? And I look around, there's just trees everywhere. There's leaves. Things are kind of shifting around. And you're just like, I am literally in the middle of the woods with someone else's truck where 10 minutes ago, I was supposed to put the car in park, jump in the van, and start driving on vacation with my family. So, yes, life happens. And so what I want folks to understand from this story is even though you can feel that you are in total control, sometimes, let's say most times, there are things that are way beyond our control. And no matter how hard we pump the brakes, no matter how much we're turning the steering wheel, we're in that mudslide. And sometimes you just got to brace, hit it. And then when you come out of it, you say, all right, what's the damage? I'm intact. Like I really think about this, Hope. I had enough energy that I would have had a head-on collision with the tree.
Wow.
But we didn't. It was this little sapling that got tangled up on the bottom of the thing. And I literally, it was this little tree about yay wide that literally just wrapped the side of the vehicle. So that's cosmetic. We can take to the body shop. They can fix it. No big deal. But if I would have gotten hurt, and those are the things that we have to restart with, right? Those are the things that we have to reorient ourselves. And what did I do? Instead of Hope, Rafael of the past would have gone into full on cray +2 times 10 crazy mode. I would have gone 0 to 10,000. Boom. And I would have gone Hulk smash. And on top of the vehicle already in the woods, I probably would have gone another piece of lumber and then started hitting the truck. Yeah, I would have gone nuts. But what I had to do is I had to sit there and I had to recognize the situation. I had to reorient myself. And how I did that is I called my friend. I called him and I said, bro, you're not going to believe that I'm in the woods. He says, I thought you were driving in North Carolina. I said, that was 10 minutes ago. He says, I just got off the phone with you 20 minutes ago. I said, I took the truck into the woods. And then he says, are you okay? Yes. He says, we'll come pull you out. That was that reorientation. And then after I hung up, I had to give myself permission to restart. I just had to. I had to. And then And then the rejoice is actually kind of happening now. The rejoice is not always instant, but the rejoice is after all that, I'm rejoicing because I'm here sharing this message with you, your audience. What an honor it is to be here and to share that story with you all, because I think it's applicable, right? Daily life throws us things when we think that we're in control. The car was in drive, the car was running, the brake was on, and we were going. And so that's it. That's my message.
I love it. I love it. I think for Robert says that even if you get hurt, it might be a saving grace. I agree, Robert. I think this idea of the recognize and kind of the restart and the rejoice and just kind of reframing how you look at things, that might be the message today for you all, is maybe you need to reframe how you're looking at things.
Yes.
And by having a new perspective, you can start again today. You get to restart. All those years I tried to get into recovery.
Not just today, this minute.
Yeah, this very second. I think about all the times that I tried stepping into recovery, and sometimes people ask, like, when did you go into recovery? I'm like, well, the 5 years that I tried, that was the restart. It's just over and over and over again. Yes. And I want to let everybody know watching that, give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to not be perfect. Give yourself permission to not follow this narrative that some movie, some storybook, some illusion that we've
the Monopoly game, it was stuff that we carry on.
This is how life is supposed to be.
Right.
I'm here to tell you, Rob's here to tell you that it doesn't have to be that way. If life has dealt you a shit deck of cards, I read this or heard this yesterday. I can't remember. I listened to a lot of different stuff, and it was a podcast, and the gentleman on, I can't remember his name. I apologize. So I'm saying someone's story. I can't note, but I'll look for it. Anyways, this guy was saying that one of his clients had, and I know this is horrific, had been raped by 4 people. Horrible situation. Yeah. But I want to share this. Years later, after, like, she tried everything, all this therapy, all these, whatever, crystals, gems, drugs, supplements, whatever you want to talk
disruptive about. Behaviors. I'm sure she was full knee deep in disruptive behavior. She
comes to this session, does this like 5-day meditation, kind of transformation thing. And she goes into this meditation and comes out and says that she had this like download, this like moment in time where she recognized for the first time in 10, 20 years, however long this had happened, I don't remember exactly, that those 4 men, those four people that had done a horrible thing were actually angels in her life, disrupting the life that she had been in to get her to the life that she needed to live in. And I'm not saying this to discount anything that's happened that's been horrible to you, or to say if that's your situation. I'm only sharing that because she had a moment in her life where it was like, without what had happened to me, I can't move forward as the me now. Like, that was like it's a time to wake up. I say that about my daughter. Like, her passing away was the best thing that ever happened to me. There's not a day that goes by I don't wish she was here, but it was the best thing that happened to me because she pushed me to want to be more than what I was before. Right. And so that's the message we have for you today. You can restart this very moment. You can get up if you want to exercise more, or you want to eat healthier, or you want to call your parent or your loved one or your friend and apologize, or you want to become a truck driver. You don't want to become a truck driver. You want to move across the country. Whatever it is you want to do, you can start today.
That's right. And that message is just so powerful. Just so powerful, Hope. It's just, and I want folks to understand that when they hear the stories that we say, when they're seeing and listening to us now, that there has been 5 years, 20 years, I'm 44 years of struggle. That it's not this fantasy, this sugarcoating, right? And when we say today, I'm talking about now. And that is that decision to say, I am restarting, because we can have that knowledge, right? Reorienting or recognizing reorienting is knowledge. Execution is that restart. That is you saying, I'm drawing the line and I'm doing it. That day I'm telling you in the mud, I restarted about 50 times. Every single time I looked at the truck in the woods, I had to go through those 3 R's and I had to restart. And I said, all right, next step.
I love it.
Yeah.
So that's where we're going to end today. Restart. You can restart this very moment. A special thanks to our main sponsor, Davy Crockett TA Petro in Greenville, Tennessee. I'm not using their cup today. Usually I'm drinking coffee out of their cup on Thursday mornings, but check them out. Make sure you go stop in and let them know Hope from Crum and Steel Radio, Dave, Bill, all of us sent you there. They have the best little gadgets, gizmos, goodies, you name it. And if they don't have what you're looking for, definitely let them know. I also want to give a shout out to the St. Christopher's Truckers Relief Fund. They are starting an auction in November, and you can see I'm using their cup today. And definitely check them out. They have all different auction items. Mother Trucker Yoga will be donating some stuff as well. All of that is going to turn around and help truck drivers in need. And I know that the truck driving community is probably the biggest charity community I've ever been a part of. And so please, please support them. St. Christopher's Trucker Relief Fund. Let them know that you want to be a part of the auction. I believe they have stuff on their Facebook page. And also, shameless plug, as always, if you haven't yet, go over stiffmothertrucker.com. Check out our pain relief cream that we have now available for everybody. We just want to give a special shout out to Cherie's Boutique, who just ordered a case, and we'll have some in her store in Tennessee. And also Nye's Building Supplies here in Wisconsin. They are a small chain of hardware stores that they are also carrying Stiff Mother Trucker. If you'd like to carry Stiff Mother Trucker in your truck stop boutique store, online store, whatever it is, let me know, and we can definitely get you set up. Most importantly, never lose hope. Never lose hope that no matter how hard life gets, there is always more for you there. If you're breathing, if you woke up, if you got a pulse, there's still purpose for you. And I believe that with my whole entire heart. Until next time, bye, my friends.